King Harris, the son of Atlanta rap legend Clifford T.I. Harris Jr., entered the world under circumstances few could imagine. Fame, money, and cameras surrounded him before he could even walk, as his family became household names through music, television, and endless media appearances. Yet, instead of being a quiet child hidden behind the protective walls of wealth, King grew up defiant, restless, and unafraid of controversy. From the start, his personality burned with intensity. Outspoken, impulsive, and unpredictable. Viral fights at Waffle Houses turned him into a trending topic overnight. His Instagram lives often showcased reckless stunts, and arguments with strangers became entertainment for millions of viewers. People debated constantly. Was he simply a young man craving independence, or was he deliberately rejecting the comfort of privilege to chase something more dangerous, something his father had sacrificed everything to leave behind? For King, the comfort of wealth never equaled respect. He seemed determined to prove that he was not just T.I.'s son, but a man shaped by his own chaos. The tension between privilege and rebellion finally came to a breaking point in October 2024. On a quiet night in Dunwoody, Georgia, police noticed a white truck swerving close to their cruiser, a small traffic violation that would soon explode into one of the most talked-about moments of King's life. As the blue and red sirens lit up the darkness, King slowed his vehicle and pulled over, displaying a strange calmness, as if the scene was not a surprise but something inevitable. The officer approached, and the unmistakable smell of marijuana drifted through the air, heavy and undeniable. A faint metallic glint from a firearm caught the officer's eye, and suddenly the energy shifted. What should have been a routine stop became a storm. The body cam footage later showed the chilling moment. King, almost casually, admitted, "I've got weapons." There was no panic in his tone, no hesitation. It was as if he had already accepted the narrative people would write about him. Within minutes, his name was run through the system, and an old bench warrant from 2022 emerged, tied to missed court dates. For the officer, the decision was simple: handcuffs. For King, it was another chapter sealed in public memory. The arrest unfolded like a scene written for social media. The flashing lights painted his face, the metallic cuffs clicked shut, and within hours, his mugshot spread across the internet like wildfire. News outlets from TMZ to Billboard blasted the headline, "T.I.'s son arrested." Memes flooded Twitter and TikTok, mocking him as a spoiled kid pretending to be a gangster. Yet others argued that he was simply a victim of circumstance, a young man struggling to balance identity under a famous name. By the next day, when the warrant was recalled and King was released without new charges, the damage had already been done. The internet does not forgive, and the image of King in a jail cell became another piece of evidence for critics who saw him as reckless. This moment was more than a legal issue. It became a cultural debate about legacy, family, and the traps of fame. In every corner of social media, people questioned, was this a boy trying to find himself? Or was this the tragic beginning of a downfall no one could prevent? For T.I., the heartbreak cut deeper than any headline. He had once faced his own demons, serving time for weapon charges, losing years of freedom to mistakes he swore his children would never repeat. He built an empire in music, acting, and business not just for himself, but to shield his family from the life of struggle he had once known. Yet here was King, his son, walking willingly toward the same dangers. Their conflict had already boiled into public view a year earlier at an Atlanta Falcons game, where cameras caught them in a heated argument. King shouted that he wasn't raised with luxury, that he grew up in hardship at his grandmother's house. T.I. stood in disbelief, defending the sacrifices he had made. The clip went viral, sparking endless debate. Fans compared their dynamic to Ghost and Tariq from Power, the father who sacrificed everything for his son, only to be accused of betrayal. This wasn't just a family disagreement. It was a generational war between survival and authenticity, between a father who built safety and a son who saw safety as suffocation. Just when it seemed the arrest would define King's spiral, another twist changed the story. In November 2024, King Harris became a father himself. Pictures spread across social media of him cradling his newborn, a son named after him, and suddenly the narrative shifted. T.I., now a grandfather, half-joked in interviews that King would finally understand the pain of raising a stubborn child. But behind the laughter was something heavier, a quiet fear that history was already repeating itself. For King, fatherhood was not just another headline. It was the heaviest responsibility he had ever faced. The weight of holding a child meant he could no longer live only for rebellion. The world watched closely. Would fatherhood ground him, steering him toward maturity, music, and discipline? Or would it be another chapter of chaos, played out under the relentless glare of the spotlight? Today, King Harris stands at the crossroads of destiny. On one side lies the safety of family, legacy, and the chance to build a name beyond his father's shadow. On the other lies the lure of rebellion, scandal, and mistakes waiting to repeat themselves. The choice is his, but the world is watching, ready to turn his every step into a headline, a meme, or a cautionary tale that proves one haunting truth. History doesn't just repeat itself, it waits for those who refuse to change.